Okay, Jason, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
awesome. What's up, man? How's it going?
Nothing much, man. Just staying busy, living the dream as always.
That's
It's
awesome,
good to
dude.
finally chat with you again.
I know, dude. It's good to finally get a conversation in with you too, man.
Right?
So
It's
why
been
don't
too
you
long.
go ahead and introduce yourself and tell them what you've been doing lately?
My name's Jasyn Smith of ChakaDogg Productions. We're a multimedia company. We strive to bolster community through the arts and realize the vision of creatives, try to make a more unique and inclusive experience for everyone. Right now, we're doing a lot of interviews, local interviews for local bands. We are throwing events. We are doing, photography, videography, just all around media. Yeah, we're just trying to serve the scene and try to grow and expand it in any way we can.
Dude, that's really freaking rad. I remember back in the day we didn't have anything like that. We pretty much all it was just the big companies, and it was either that or you had to like have an in with like Desert Sun or Independent Weekly.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
And
it's
then you had the house shows that always got broken
oh
up
yeah.
after a few months of doing it consistently at one spot for whatever reason. So, it's cool to see things kind of expand. Obviously, especially after COVID, everything took a dip, but I
Yeah,
mean, that was everywhere.
yeah, dude, no kidding. I remember just before COVID happened, like, the scene was pretty down bad, right? Like, um, I remember the scene went through like changes throughout the years. I remember back in the day it was really dead, and then it kind of got a little bit of a resurgence, and then it just straight up died. You know?
Yeah, I feel like there's always I feel like there's always a good amount of talented musicians and even bands or whatever doing their thing and making some unique art and unique music. But it definitely had its up and down in terms of exposure and those bands actually going out and being able to play and getting an opportunity. Like, yeah, before COVID, there was really only like two spots in the valley that were official venues that you could actually play at. And I mean, for better or worse, they were all right. They gave you opportunities, but they also, I feel like could have treated bands a little more fairly, a little better. Yeah, I feel like it was kind of lacking in that department. But ever since COVID, obviously we had a really big lull, but everything's coming back around. The musicians, the bands are really kind of taking it into their own hands and making their own scene for themselves. And it's really awesome and honestly pretty empowering to see that happen. And it's happening kind of all across the board, not just in like hardcore or thrash or like I said, this valley's always had a diverse base of talent, and
Right.
it seems like the people in each scene are really doing everything they possibly can to bolster up their respective scenes, whether it be hip hop, cumbia, hardcore, indie rock, like everything across the board. And it's pretty awesome.
Yeah, that's actually really good to hear because yeah, like I said, back when I was in the scene, it was really divided by the genres. Like they used to be hardcore versus the punk kids, and then the indie kids kind of were the weirdos back then. But
Yeah.
it sounds like everybody's kind of getting along a lot better, and they kind of have come to agree with like that they want the arts, and they just the music doesn't comes first. Screw the genre or whatever. It's all about the scene and the arts and coming together in that community. It
Yeah,
sounds
and that's exactly it. Like you said it, you nailed it right on the head. The music comes first.
right.
Like all the people in the scene, in the people, not even just bands in the scene, but like audience members, people coming out just to, they're not coming out just to party and fuck shit up. They're coming out to support the bands. They want to see this music and this new art, and it's really cool because it is kind of mending together, and that's like not only within the harder subgenres like metal and hardcore, they're not clashing anymore. Like there's metalcore shows that are half metalcore, half hardcore, a thrash band on there. Like
Huh.
I know with my events, like I feel like thrash is kind of overlooked a lot of the times because I don't know
Definitely.
for whatever reason, hardcore is definitely the most popular.
Hmm.
But I'm definitely trying to spotlight thrash because that's just what I've always been into. But I
Yeah.
always try to keep it kind of with a mixture, like pepper it in with some like grindcore and some hardcore, this and that, but really try to spotlight one genre and pepper it in with a little bit of every other genre to keep everything interesting. And the people are there for it. They love it.
No, that's really rad. And I did catch a few of the interviews that you've been doing. Some with local legends like Facelift, and then with other newer acts.
Definitely, yeah.
What are some newer acts that you like or that have popped up in the last couple of years, like say since COVID, that you've noticed?
Honestly, there's too many to count. I feel like every week, because it's like there's a lot of the same people in these bands, and they're
Ah,
just
yes.
going and branching out to 3 4 different bands, and it kind of, I don't know, it's kind of hard to keep track of. But there are a lot of great bands. Like I know Tourists are really big right now, and they're more like poppy. I don't want to put a label on them. I don't know exactly what they are, but they're definitely hard as well. They have some like more harder songs. They have mosh pits at like every one of their shows. I feel like people just mosh to anything anymore, and I
Right.
love it. Like it's awesome to see the support because that really gets the energy for the bands going up. But
Hmm.
Tourist, Lazuli Bones, I mean,
Lazuli Bones is still
the
playing, huh?
Vines, there's
That's really
yeah,
cool.
Lazuli Bones is still playing. They're still doing their thing. They were originally Blue Sun, and then they changed their name to Lazuli Bones, and
Yeah.
they're definitely still at it, doing their thing. I don't know. I just named honestly the last few that I released interviews for,
Yeah.
so that I there's too many to count. I don't know. I'm not too many are coming off at the top
That's
of my
okay.
head.
That's a good problem to have, to be honest, you
Right.
know. It sounds like
Yeah.
there's a lot more creativity flowing out there these days. And
Definitely, yeah.
that's
And then the
really
hardcore
awesome.
scene, like I said, is just exploding with like there are people in the same like the same 4 people are starting like 12 bands, and
Yeah.
it's yeah, and it's awesome. There are shows where people aren't not only doing double duty with 2 bands, but they'll be doing 3 bands in the same show. Like it's wild. And
That's
we
hilarious.
have Sean who plays drums in Analog Lab and a few other bands, but then he started his own project, Open Skull, and he's playing guitar and vocals. Like
Yeah.
it's just a bunch of really talented musicians that really respect the craft and just want to make as much as their heart desires, honestly. Like it's really awesome.
That is really cool. So it sounds like there's going to be a lot of stuff coming out of the area here in the coming future, huh?
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
And these guys, like I said, just in the last 6 months, year alone, there's every week there's a new band. So once all these guys actually start putting out music and records, and yeah,
Oh,
it definitely feels like there's something building here in the Coachella Valley. Like
no,
it seems
totally.
like hopefully it'll explode, but at the very least, I mean, it's gonna definitely consistently grow. And I mean, I would hate to see it fall off in any way, but with the people, I think it's in good hands. The people running each scene and doing their thing, trying to not even running each scene, but like the people doing their thing, trying to get everything as accessible and
Out there.
accessible as possible. Yeah, out there, they're doing the right things, and I don't think they're going to stop anytime soon.
Well, that's freaking rad to hear, man. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, and like especially this time of the year, it's Coachella season, right?
Yeah.
Um, with this scene and shows, have you been to any within the past couple of weeks that have shown any kind of like outsider attendance? Do you know what I mean? Like, for lack of a better word, have you noticed any Snowbirds or Coachella Fest people coming to any local shows?
Um, I mean that's hard to say. I'm sure there's a few, especially like you'd like to think with Coachella having like acts like Sublime and the Addicts on the bill this year,
Right.
you'd like to think there might be a little crossover. But at
Yeah.
the same time, it's kind of an unwritten rule. You kind of don't clash with Coachella with your shows if you're trying to have like a really big show because I just feel like that's a losing battle. Like
Oh,
even
for
if
sure.
people aren't at Coachella, there's just so much congestion in the valley. It
Mm-hmm.
seems like people are taking the alternate route of in between Coachella weeks, they'll do something on like a Wednesday, but they'll make sure to end it early, end and start it early, so everyone can come out and everyone still has jobs, but still try to get some entertainment out there. Like this Wednesday, in between Coachella weekends, there was a local hardcore show at the local house venue, the Lab, and they're doing a lot of great things. They're really one of the main people bolstering up the hardcore scene right now. And then right down the road, literally a few blocks from there, there was an official City of Indio grand opening of Center Stage. They just built an entire outdoor like amphitheater stage
Wow.
for the
Okay.
community, and they had cumbia music, DJs, a little bit of everything in that one. And that was also, it was City of Indio, and it was also run by a local, I guess you'd say, event promoter, media person, Angel Chavez, and he started out in Desert Underground doing shows out of his backyard, but I mean, he did it as legit as you possibly could. Like, he even
Really?
had a stage company come out, a 360 photo booth, monitors. It was the whole 9 yards. They filmed the whole thing. It's really
Damn.
badass. I would definitely recommend checking them out.
What was that? What
But
was
he
that
actually
again?
got the opportunity. Sorry, he absolutely got the opportunity to run it. So that's pretty cool that they're supporting locals like that.
What are they? What was the name of that again?
So that was actually Sonidos, and they had
Sonidos.
local legends at this point. Giselle Wu and the Night Owls. They're kind of a
Yeah,
rock
yeah.
cumbia group that does more than just Spanish music. They blend a little bit of everything. And then they had local DJ Alex Song and Los Vampiros, and they had a lot of really cool people. And it was really cool to see the whole community come out. And I'd like to think that there was at least a few people from Coachella, lingering in
Oh,
the
for
crowd
sure.
somewhere.
Yeah. I would hope so. Hopefully they get to
Yeah.
see some more of the local talent. Because
Yeah, kind of.
I've never gotten
Yeah.
to see Giselle Wu and the Night Owls, but I do know of them. A couple of my friends have played guitar with them, so I'm sure you know
Yeah.
like Chaz, the guitar
Yeah. Yeah.
player. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. They're badass. Yeah. And Chaz, I'm working on an interview for the Afterlashes. He plays guitar
Hell
for us.
yeah!
So,
See, there we
yeah.
go.
Yeah. So, it's really cool to see everyone putting in their part, doing the work.
Yeah, no, straight up. That's really cool. Speaking of which, like, with your interviews and things like that, I noticed that you have Matt King also helping you out there. How has that been partnering with Matt?
Oh, that's awesome. I mean, Matt's a great friend of mine. Like, we've been working together for, I don't know, for years now at this point. We played our first show together, I think 6 years ago or something like that, 5 years ago. It
Hmm.
was at the Deep Festival Battle of the Bands, and he was in one of my projects. That's the band that I was a part of. That band broke up. He said, "I got some songs. You want to be part of my band?" And I joined his band, and then his other band, and
Yeah.
we do a lot of musical work together as well. But when I started doing the interviews, when you have a friend that's a music journalist, he writes music journalism for CV Independent,
Yep.
writes a lot of great articles. When you have a friend like that, that's also equally as passionate about music and local music, especially, it's kind of hard not to pull from that bag and say, "Hey, man, you want to make these interviews as best as they possibly can? I'll do the video. We'll fucking do this together and make something really good for the scene to hopefully get as many eyes as possible on them. And if not, at the very least, they can, link the interview, the video, and show it to maybe venues or labels or just anyone that wants to get to know them, use it as promotional material for their shows, just try to get them something that people can see, something tangible where you don't have to go to the show, but you can see that there are a lot of people putting in a lot of work behind the instruments as well, let alone everything else that we've been talking about.
No, exactly. No, actually, that was kind of the idea that where I started with doing my interviews like this too. It was like I was doing so much of my own work, that it was kind of like the I wanted to because I see so much from volunteering at the Boise Hive, which is like a kind of a music recreational center and a
Oh, cool.
not-for-profit spot, where
Yeah,
bands
I've
can go.
definitely seen your posts about that.
Yeah.
I didn't know it was a recreational spot. That's really cool. I thought it
They
was like a official venue.
No, basically, yeah, it's kind of like this not-for-profit spot where locals or anybody else can like come and rent like a rehearsal space or a recording spot, or even on Saturdays we put on that Live at the Hive thing. Um, but yeah, no, that's one of the main things that drove me to be doing this because it there's so much talent out here too that I really wanted to help be a part of it and help get it all out there, just like I'm gonna be doing with some of the other CV bands too, you know,
Yeah, there you go.
because legitimately when I first started doing music production as a whole, my goal is to open up a music studio at some point, but my goal on top of that would be to move it to the CV and make it to where bands can record affordable, like demos and EPs, and even have like a giveaway like once a month or something to do a free demo, for
Oh, that's
local bands.
badass.
Because, dude,
Trying to move back to the CV. Hey, we
trying.
miss you.
I,
We
I,
miss you, Eric. Come on.
I know that's the goal, dude. I want to give back to the community, like
Oh yeah.
legitimately. Because, dude, you and I both know how difficult it is to get a recording spot out there, how expensive that shit is.
Yeah, it's
And
nearly impossible. Like with the CMS, we recorded our demo and our first album out in Redlands. So we had to travel all the way out of the Coachella
see,
Valley just to
yeah,
get it recorded affordably and, by someone that knows what they're doing at the same time as being affordable. Yeah, and then we started doing it ourselves because it's just that's a bitch, when you're
literally.
trying to release consistent music.
Yeah, and it's good for us to have to go through that because that's how we learn. But at the same
Yeah.
time, it's a huge fucking barrier that
For,
not everybody
yeah.
is willing to approach. So it would be really awesome if I could get a studio out there and do that kind of a deal. Even maybe have
Yeah,
a
that'd be
class
great.
every now and then to teach. To
Right, yeah.
keep that DIY spirit active, which would be really cool.
Yeah.
But
No, definitely. I mean, we as many like-minded people out here that are trying to do better for the community and not themselves. Like that's what we need out here.
hell yeah.
That's the big battle right now. There's Golden Voice and then there's all the local musicians try to actually make a scene for themselves.
Dude, yeah. Speaking of Golden Voice, did you get to go to
Uh-oh.
that punk fest that they put on? Or I'm not even sure if it's happened yet.
No, so I actually lucky enough to get tickets. It's
Nice.
going to be in June, and that actually was decently affordable, but at the same time, that kind of makes me wonder how much they're paying the bands. But either way, like it was cool to see an affordable festival, and it's in Pomona, right down the road, so not too far. So that should be badass.
Right. And I remember back in the day, dude, we used to talk about shit like that all the time. Like, oh, the same people who put on Coachella Fest, I wonder if they're gonna put on like a smaller like metal or punk thing. And then they did with fucking, uh Power Trip Fest, and then they even
Yep.
put on that other festival with like Neil Young and all them, and like that was
Oh yeah,
pretty
yeah,
crazy
the Desert
too.
Trip,
Yeah, Desert Trip, like
Old Coachella.
yeah, right. That's what they were calling it, right?
Yeah,
But
yeah.
that's so crazy because it's like all this stuff that's happening now that I'm gone, of course, right?
Right, yeah. Well, those first two, Power Trip and Desert Trip, those two were very expensive, and that's what, especially Desert Trip. All these guys are legends, and I mean,
Yeah.
Power Trip was too, but they're legends that are like I don't know. They all were at that point so cemented in their career that I feel like that was kind of warranted.
Right.
But
No.
when you have Sir Paul McCartney on the bill,
No.
you got to wonder how much he's charging. But
Seriously, straight up.
when they did Power Trip, it was very disheartening to a lot of locals as to how much was actually it costed to go there. It was $600,
Yeah.
not even including fees or anything like that, just to get in the door at GA and see it from a mile away. Like
Hmm.
it was, like I said, it was kind of disheartening. Even like local business owners were talking about it, but and especially when that was happening in your own backyard and everyone wanted to see them, it kind of sucked. But it's really good to see that they're doing the no values thing, and hopefully they continue and expand into supporting the locals. I know they have kind of pissed off a lot of people here locally,
I'm sure,
especially
yeah.
lately, but um yeah, it's sad to see. I hope they can do better, and if not, I hope we can get people in here that ultimately make it better.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point, because when it comes to the impact of the festivals in general, the local, the area that it affects is obviously the first thing that, they should consider.
Exactly, yeah.
So
Like
yeah.
in the week in between Coachella, they used to that Wednesday that I was talking about, they used to do an event called Chella, and it was really cool. It was mostly for the community. Like you can tell they probably weren't making the most profit off of it, but they were definitely giving back to the community, and the community really loved it. It was a good experience in between Coachella that Golden Voice was doing. And then I heard they pulled out for whatever reason. I'm not sure why they did that, but they didn't want to do it this year. And luckily enough, the city of Indio was, uh, you know, good-hearted enough to say, you know what, if they're not going to do it, we're going to do something for the locals. And they got Coachella Angel to come out and do it for them. a local that everyone respects. So it was really cool to see the city of Indio step up and really realize that music for the community is something that benefits everybody. Like,
Yes.
if not just for morale, it eventually it'll seep into economics and this and that. And I think that's something that other cities in the Coachella Valley can definitely take note as. Indio's doing a really good job.
That's awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
it is the city of festivals, right? Like, so they I would
Yeah.
hope they take that stuff into consideration, you know.
Yeah,
Es-
but I feel like, especially back in the day,
yeah,
there was always,
absolutely.
like
Yeah,
we were talking about earlier, all the underground arts and music was just swept to the side.
yeah, no joke.
It seems like they're actually taking it.
Especially with um, I think the thing that really brought it up was that Desert X installment. You know, those art
Yes.
installments. I think when that got popular, it started showing like the shareholders or whatever that it's possible to make a spectacle into an adventure, you know, rather than
Yeah.
just one single installment that, you know, could I love that, and I never got to go do that the Desert X thing, but just the concept of it, it's not only showing the local artwork, but it's also showing the locale, like the region in general, because you have to travel to like the different areas, into the desert, into the, you know, the trees and stuff like, and that was something that blew my mind the first time that I heard about that, you know.
Yeah, definitely. And there's last year there were so many installations that I didn't even get to go all of them because it's all the way across the valley. It
Right.
starts at the windmills in the pass, like Cabazon area, and goes all the way down to like Coachella thermal area. It's really
Exactly.
wild. And
Yeah.
like you said, it shows that like the community throughout the Coachella Valley really
Yes.
wants that and yearns for it. Like there's a market for it too. If you want to capitalize
Right.
on it, hopefully in the right way,
Hmm.
there's stuff to be done there. There's something to be done there. And especially, us being so close to communities like Joshua Tree, who are
Right.
like just full blown art and music and just, about art and music
Hmm.
and really using the desert landscape as inspiration. And I don't know, there's too much to pull from
Right. No,
around here,
truly,
you know?
it's a literal oasis, you know, in the desert.
It's literally easy pickings. Like I don't know why people aren't thinking about this. I don't know. I just, like I said earlier, I think the wrong people are in it. I think we need a little bit of more power to the locals.
Definitely, you know, and that's something that I think I've been seeing a lot lately, is that, you know, the locals have been taking a lot more power, you know, and especially in the CV, but also out here as well, you know. So I think that COVID really did teach us, if anything, a lesson on how to be self-sustaining, you know, and
Yeah,
how to build a proper DIY mindset, you know, because that's all we really had to do. We had to be our own agents. We had to be our own office workers, you know.
good. Yeah, and yeah, like you said, I think it's happening all across the U.S. right now. I don't think it's unique to just here or there. Like you
Yeah,
said, like it's everywhere right now. Just the people are part of these scenes. From what I've seen in a lot of places, like they want it to get done the right way these days. They're not
truly.
trying to half-ass it.
No, no joke. It really does feel like that, and with the way that things are becoming more easily accessible too. To your point before, you know, it's easily accessible. Therefore, more people have the ability to. It's just a matter of whether they want to, you know.
Yeah, exactly.
Hmm.
Yep.
But yeah, no. With the ChakaDogg Productions, do you want to go into a little bit about like which band, or maybe what bands, or like the videos, how what's your general creative approach to, like, do you bring an idea, or do you have the bands bring their idea to you? Is it a mixture?
Honestly, the general creative approach starts with if I'm passionate about it. Like I feel like
Okay.
if someone comes to me with a project that I'm not really feeling 100% or not too passionate about, I think it's hard for me to give my best work and put, I feel like it'd be doing a disservice to both me and them if I wasn't passionate about it. I feel like it wouldn't work out in either of our favors.
Right.
So I have to be passionate about it first and foremost. I have to like the project. I have to want to do it. It's got to be there. Um, the second part, it kind of varies. Like with your music video, you came to me and you're like, this is the premise. I want to do this, this, and this. Can we make it happen? And I'm just like, yes, that's a great like. I love the way you laid it out. I can find a location so that we can get this done. Like that's perfect.
Yeah, dude.
And then
That
there's other
honestly, it
videos
came out a lot
or
better than I had even thought. So thank you.
no, honestly, I think that was beginner's luck because that was one
Really,
of the first times I've ever done anything with a camera. I literally
really.
borrowed my buddy's camera set. He had two cameras, and if I'm being 100% honest, he set it up to where he said, "All right, it's simple. It's all on the right settings. Just point and click. If you want to record, just point and click." I was like, "Cool, I can do that." And then all the magic happened in the editing, and we made it something. When there's a drive, there's a will, there's a way. Especially when it's for a buddy that you haven't seen in forever and is trying to do something across the country. Like you just got to make it happen.
Dude, I
Uh,
seriously, like, no joke, that's exactly the kind of shit that I would have done, and I really appreciate you, dude,
it's
because it
it's
came out
DIY, man. I
perfect.
feel like everything that I've done that's the best that I've done comes from someone coming to me like, "Hey, can we make this happen? Is this possible?" And I'm like, "Dude, if it's possible, we're making it happen.
If
Let's
I
get it
can,
going."
I will.
Like, yes, exactly.
Dude, that's my
Like,
motto.
yeah, like I'm throwing a show in May 4th, and we're getting Diabology from Los Angeles out here. That's
What?
literally what happened. I've only done one show before that, and it was successful. I love doing it. And I definitely wanted to do more, but I didn't have that spark to be like, oh,
Right.
I need to do it now. I was still too intimidated and like, ooh, do I belong,
Yeah.
promoting events and putting them on? And then Diabology hit me up. Hey, May 4th, do you have any dates or do you have any venues available? What can we do? And I said, I can get this done. Let's do it.
Hell
They lit a
yeah.
fire in my ass and it happened. Like that's sometimes
Yeah.
it's just what you need.
Truly,
But
dude.
back to
No.
your original question, half of it, the band comes to me and sometimes I just go to them and I'm like, hey, this is what I was thinking. Let me know what you were thinking. Because bands always have, something in mind. They're creative, they're visual, they
Oh
have
yeah.
something that they want to pull off and achieve and a message they want to send. So sometimes it's more collaborative and like, hey, this is what I got, that's what you got. Let's make something even better. It's like any individual musician knows, or at least has to learn when they join a band. Like you have to serve the music. You can't do all the flashy tricks and gimmicks. I mean, you can, but you're not going to get the best song that you possibly can. If you want to make a great song or something, you have to cater to the project. You have to put everything into that and set your ego aside as much as you can to just get the best whole outcome as you can.
Absolutely. No,
Yeah.
that's especially important if you're working with somebody else, you know?
Yes.
Yeah, no, because it's really legitimately like you're cooking a meal or like you're having a baby, like, because it shouldn't really be one person's project, if you're being approached to it, it's really good to have that diversity. That way you
Yeah.
can really come up with the best product or the best piece that you can,
Exactly.
you
And you
know?
have to be willing to admit your flaws and maybe
Hmm.
your weaknesses and say, hey, I really want to do this, but maybe they can do it just a little bit better. And I
Exactly.
can stick in this part and do this part better than they can. Like, you really have to, you got to work with people and you got to find the right people and you got to have chemistry. And there's a lot that goes into it, but that just being more concerned in that final outcome than yourself and what you gain from it, I think that's secret sauce to doing the best of what you can do in anything. Like,
Literally,
yeah,
because for me, at least personally, I get excited when other people get excited. Like
yeah,
it really, it's like what you were talking about with the bands. The fans get energized, and it's like this positive feedback loop that I
exactly.
particularly enjoy being stuck in. Because it's like, yeah, 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 yeah.
Everyone's getting a pat on the back. Let's do
Exactly.
this, guys. And then if you fuck up, oh, well, get the fuck back up. Let's do it again. Do it right this
Exactly.
time. Like,
Then you have a little bit of leeway to pick yourself back up with your friends and the help of your community, you know,
because everyone knows, you may have fucked up, but you had the best at heart. So let's
literally.
just learn from your mistakes and move on.
Yeah, no kidding. It's speaking of which is like doing the photography thing for you, man. Like I know started music playing drums, but like what got you into the whole art, like creative, physical side of things with the photography and stuff?
Yeah, never thought I would have done, asked me
Right.
when I first started playing in bands and, being in the scene. I never would have thought I would have been a camera guy or like trying to do photos or videos. But I was in a band, the CMFs, and we were grinding in the music, trying to do as much as we could to get out of the valley and everything. But COVID hit and we were stuck at home. We could release music, but we couldn't play any shows or anything to too many people,
Right.
and so we just started hitting the ground running. We started doing like silly skits and just a little bit of everything. Honestly, I did a sports, kind of like a sports show. It was, I don't know, it was all very campy, very not safe for work, and just raw, and just we were doing whatever the hell we wanted. We were having fun. We were making fools of ourselves,
Yeah.
but we were also taking the music side of it extremely serious. It was kind of an avenue to explore our creativity, see what we wanted to do, see what we wanted to turn the band into.
Mm-hmm.
And then by the time COVID ended and that wrapped up, we went our separate ways. Things happen, and I've always wanted to. When we were doing that, we were doing everything in front of a green screen, and it was really awesome because you didn't need much investment except for time. There wasn't much of a money investment if you had the green screen up and everything. It was more time on the post, on the back end, trying to get everything looking how you want it. But I've always wanted to dabble in more cinematic, practically shot things. I want, make some, I feel like some more meaningful art, if you will. And
Right.
the band broke up and you asked me to do the music video, and I said, fuck it. Let's do it. Let's lean in. I've been wanting to do it and someone has a need. So like I said, I just think that's how everything that I've done naturally has progressed like that. I'm passionate about something. It's in my head that I want to do it. And then someone's like, hey, can you do something like this? And like, no, I can't, but I will. Like, I have no
Dude.
idea how to, but let's do it. Like, I've been around, I do my way around a camera, at least with the automatic side of things. So I made it work. We weren't too cinematic in the CMFs about our videos or anything. We did, try to get the best angles. We did our best to make it look good, but
Yeah.
we always ran it on automatic mode. We didn't know anything about exposure or shutter speed or whatever, just the bare minimum to get a good green screen video.
Mm-hmm.
And, when there's a need, I want to facilitate the best I can.
No, that truly, like, that is the right attitude to have about that, is that whole idea of like, I don't know, I don't think I know how to do this, but that sounds fucking dope, let's try it, no, Joe,
Exactly. Yeah.
I think that's the perfect way to go about that too, because it's like, if you can like just almost get there, just like that little 10% extra, is
You can figure out along the way.
yeah, exactly,
If
just
you're
to figure it out.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you just got to have that passion, man.
Truly, no joke. But man, no, I had no idea that was. I mean, I knew that it was a newer style or a newer side to your creativity, but I had no idea that you would go on and try to make more stuff like that. Dude, I'm super happy and proud and glad that you have been able to go on, because like that's something that we needed back there at home is
Yeah,
the
yeah, man. Thank you.
yeah, of course, the way to categorize and catalog the scene and the way that you're doing it with the interviews is fucking beautiful. I really wish we had somebody like that back in the day too.
I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, of
and
course.
I never would have saw myself doing interviews after, for bands or whatever either when I started doing music videos. You always, whenever you do anything, any project or any endeavor, you have in your mind what you want it to be, and
Right.
what you want to do with it. But life has its own plans, and
Truly.
people have their own needs, and you realize, oh, maybe that's not exactly what people need, or I'm not in the right position to do that. Like, but I've always wanted to do, honestly, the interviews came out of, I've always wanted to do like a podcast or something. We were toying around with the idea of doing something in my studio, having bands come here and doing a live performance and all that. And we still definitely want to do that. We still have plans to do that. It's just a matter of logistics
Right.
and the realities of things. Like, I don't want to do it half-ass. If we
Right.
do something, I want it to be done right.
Mm-hmm.
So I figured, one way to do it, I started doing cinematic interviews where I'd go to their house and I'd film them practicing and whatnot, and then do the interview and edit it in to like a 2-3 minute little quick interview that's got some cinematic clips, but I realized, one, that's too brief. You don't really get to know the whole story or deep dive into things. And two, it was very intensive in terms of editing and time consuming in terms of scheduling the practice with the band and getting in there, So I just said, let's go to these, let's go to these different venues. And after the band plays, let's do an old school kind of interview where, I always think of like, Megadeth or Metallica sitting on this couch in the backstage area with just one dude, a camera, and like a dude asking them questions. And it's just a straight shot for 30 minutes, and that's all you get.
Yeah,
and
literally the old school MTV style. Yeah.
Yep. Those are all those were always the best interviews that I watched. So I just wanted to throw it back to that kind of style. But also, obviously in the new era, you need to have retention, and people need to see new things all the time. And I think I threw in the cinematic like shots in between in the interviews to kind of cater to both. I don't want it to be too in your face and too like, oh, please watch my video. Like I wanted to still have that organic and genuine feel, and feel like you're talking to the band, or just feel like you're listening to them have a conversation, rather than all this shit popping up on the screen.
No, truly. And honestly, after watching the facelift video, especially, that because I've hung out with those guys, I've played with them, like
that was really badass.
Yeah,
honestly, like, from watching them at 13 playing shows in backyards of DHS to being like setting up an interview with them, it was honestly kind of surreal. Like it was really cool to finally do something official with them, to actually work with them. It was really badass, and they gave a really good interview too.
Yeah, no, that was really cool. Like it legit it felt completely natural. They were super chill, Honestly, I thought it was the chillest I've seen them in fucking 20 years, like
right, yeah. But especially when he's on stage screaming in your face, and then he sits down, he's like, yeah, this is how I feel, and it's cool. So.
Yeah, no kidding, man. Like they're really good dudes, and I'm really happy to see that they're still playing too.
Definitely,
even
definitely.
still.
Yeah, they had a lot of good insight into the scene then and the scene now. So it was really great interview to capture both sides.
Absolutely, man. That was really cool. Do you have any other interviews coming up with some other bands?
Yes, I do have some interviews. I always have interviews in the bank, in the vault, because we go to these shows and we try to get every show on the bill. We try to find a bill that has really cool bands that we're passionate about, that we want to see, that other people want to see. And so we literally go, I film all the performances, and then Matt's right after their set, Matt's in the back doing the interviews. So we're doing something throughout the entire show. So I kind of bank them up. I get to them when I can. I have the Afterlashes coming up immediately within the next couple weeks. Shortly after that, we actually went to the Sonidos event on Wednesday in Indio for Center Stage, and we got an interview with both Giselle Wu and the Night Owls, as well as Angel Chavez from Desert Underground. So those are two interviews that I'm looking forward to get out there for the people, and for everyone to see that you can bridge the gap between city and underground.
Right? No, absolutely.
It's possible.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that we're getting closer to that. I remember Coachella Fest had, I'm not sure if they did it this year, but they had a couple of stages spotlighting a couple of local bands and smaller artists. Do you know if they did that this year?
Yeah, every year they try to get at least one artist that's local. And Giselle Wu and the Night Owls was that artist.
Nice.
They played Coachella.
Nice.
Yeah, they played one of the slots during the day in Coachella, and that was a couple years ago. I think last year they actually got a Desert Hot Springs native, Danny Lux. That was actually really cool.
Right. I did hear about that.
He actually received the key to the city of Desert Hot Springs.
Yeah, that's really cool.
And then this year, I believe they got, was it a DJ from, I think he was up in the Yucca Valley area.
Okay.
The high desert, or no, Imperial. I think he's from the Imperial area. But yeah, I think they try to at least get one person
really
each
cool.
year.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Damn. Okay.
Yeah, so it's cool,
Okay, well, let's see. Do you have any future musical endeavors coming up?
I don't know. My musical relationship is very weird these days. Like I'm always writing stuff, but I never want to. I'm one of those people at the moment. always writing stuff, never want to put it out. I have a few songs in like a few different genres. I don't know if I'm gonna ever do anything with them. I'm talking to Matt, seeing if we want to just record some stuff and put it out,
Hey, there
not
you
play
go.
shows, because we're both in 3-4 bands.
Yeah.
So it's hard to find time as well when you're trying to do the media coverage and do the photo video. Editing is a never-ending struggle. Like, I'm sure you know. Yeah, like
I still have a 2 hour video with Topon Doss from Fuck the Facts that I have to cut through.
yep, yeah. Those. I mean, me personally, it's an inside struggle. Like, I want the longest interview. Well, if it calls for it, I want a good long interview to get the most information. But damn, I gotta edit that thing
know,
too.
dude.
Yeah. So if I had enough hours in the day, I'd have 3 side projects of my own. I'd have a short film coming out, as well as every band in the Valley interview.
Yeah. An album
So
with each of my bands coming up.
yeah, exactly. So I feel like that's where the passion comes in. If there's a passion that I have that I want to do it, and there's someone that needs something done in that vein, I think that gets me, like I said, lights fire under my ass, and I get to it. Otherwise, I'm very poor about doing that for my own projects.
Right? No kidding, dude. Like, that's why we do it ourselves,
Oh yeah,
Extremely DIY.
I'm having fun regardless. So that's all that matters.
Exactly.
You're like, I'm doing something. I'm staying busy.
Staying busy and staying out of trouble, hopefully.
Exactly. That's the motto out here.
Yeah, dude, no kidding. Well, dude, I think we got enough right there,
Yeah.
Is there anything else you wanna tell everybody?
No, man, just go to your local shows in your local scene. Check out the interviews that I've been doing in the Coachella Valley. You've been doing out there. Man, just go on YouTube and scroll through different, just search up different places, see what they got in their music scene. Maybe they're doing the same thing that we're doing.
Hey, that's a great idea.
Yeah, just support.
Yeah, support your local scenes.
One day it'll get there.
Yep, there you go. Thanks a lot, Jasyn. Yeah, dude. Everybody check out ChakaDogg Productions. They're on Instagram. All the links will be in the description. Got its handles. Email him right there at chakadoggprod@gmail.com. And
obviously, if you need a music video, obviously you can be across the country, and I can still get it done for you.
Absolutely, hit him up. Hit Jasyn up.
Yeah.
He's down.
Budget friendly, man. We're for the scene. So yeah, thank you, man. Thanks so much for having me. Dude. I really appreciate it.
Oh, of course, man. Thank you very much. I'll talk to you later, okay?
Cool, man. Thank you.
No problem. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.